Hello everybody, let's start the new topic today, Physiology of Descending Tract, Part 1. In the previous lecture, we have learned regarding physiology of ascending tract and we have learned physiology of pain and pain control mechanism. Now let's descend down from cortex and see how the brain works. This is based on competency PY 10.4 as per the MCA booklet. Describe and discuss motor tracts. To start with, for execution of CNS activity, either there has to be stimulation to the sensory cortex from the receptor, some stimulus comes, or there is an idea in the mind to do something. For example, while going somewhere, I touch some object, I take it back. So that is my response to a stimulation from a touch or pain or temperature. Now I am sitting comfortably, I want to write on my book, so I want to pick up my pen. So this is the idea in the mind. So some idea comes or in response to sensory stimulation. Now this will go to the cortical association area, premotor cortex and motor cortex. Here planning of the activity takes place and plan to execute the action is being developed here. But before it is sent for execution, the cortex takes opinion from it to its very important siblings called basal ganglion and cerebellum. They are giving constant feedbacks to motor cortex for execution of action. So afferent and efferent are both connections are there from the cortex to basal ganglion as well as cerebellum. Now from here the orders will descend down to main execution center, that is called as spinal cord. Now this connection which is coming down from up as it is descending, so these are called as descending tracts. Some of them are going directly from cortex to spinal cord. So as we have learned how to level the tract, it is origin and termination. Origin from cortex ending in the spinal cord, so it is called as corticospinal tract. And some are taking a station in between, going to the brain stem here, and again from there they are going down. So they are also called as a descending tract, but they are called as indirect. So they are taking a station in the brain stem. So like this, ultimately all information for execution which is collected at this cortical association area in combination premotor cortex and motor cortex is coming down from descending tract to spinal cord. So main function of descending tract is nothing but to convey the information to spinal cord for execution. Now in the spinal cord, if you recall your knowledge of physiology of spinal cord, it consists of three types of neurons there. First, alpha motor neuron, which is the key neuron which supplies the skeletal muscle or extrafusal fibers in a skeletal muscle. Second, gamma motor neuron, which supplies the intrafusal fibers or muscle spindle, which is nothing but a receptor present in the muscle to check change in length of muscle. Third category is interneurons. So ultimately all the descending tracts are converging their action on either of the three and ultimately leading through alpha motor neuron action, that is called as final command pathway. So let's move forward and see what are these different tracts. Now ultimately all will be ending on this four important segments of spinal cord: cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral. So like this 31 segments are there. So all the descending tract which start, they are ending there and they are giving branches here like this. So they are controlling all this spinal cord motor neurons which are in the spinal cord. So here you can see from this spinal cord all the nerves are arising and they are supplying. So if you recall your anatomy of different nerves, ultimately their origin from some segment of spinal cord. For example, radial nerve, it is coming from some segment of spinal cord here. Median nerve, ulnar nerve. Okay, so that's why you should know anatomy of all these nerves properly. Coming down to our very basic spinal cord where the execution takes place, just to refresh our knowledge of actions of all these three interneurons. This is the muscle spindle. From here the sensory nerve carries the sensation to the spinal cord and it is conveyed to the alpha motor neuron, which is supplying the extraphyseal fibers. This is the gamma motor neuron, which is supplying the intraphyseal fibers. So now you are giving a stimulation to the muscle by giving gentle tap on the muscle. Because of this, muscle gets stretched. There is increase in length of muscle, which is sensed by muscle spindle, leading to generation of action potential in the muscle spindle, which will travel along the sensory nerve and will lead to muscle contraction from the alpha motor neuron. This is called as a reflex action. So many times we get a jerk of a muscle after a tap, so it is called as a tendon jerk, which we'll be learning during a deep reflexes of the motor system. During the practicals, we learn after giving tap on the muscle contracts reflexly. So that is a tendon jerk. Now the descending tracts, some of them are ending on gamma motor neuron. So if they stimulate gamma motor neuron, what will happen now? It will lead to stimulation of muscle spindle, generation of action potential, which will again indirectly lead to muscle contraction from alpha motor neuron. And some descending tracts are ending directly on alpha motor neuron. The stimulation will lead to direct contraction of muscle through alpha motor neurons. That's why alpha motor neurons are called as spinal common pathway. Now this is a schematic diagram of showing the tracts and the neurons. This is the brainstem, cortex, our spinal cord. So here you can see in the spinal cord, this is the neuron which is supplying the extraphyseal fiber. So it is called as alpha motor neuron. And other one which is supplying this red, which is a muscle spindle, this is called as a gamma motor neuron. So both of these neurons are supplying the muscle. Similarly, in the brain stem, we are having cranial nerve nuclei. So mind well, just as they are in the cranium, they are called as cranial nerve. And as these are in the spinal cord, they are called as spinal nerve or spinal motor neuron. So functionally, both are basically same. So here cranial nerve nuclei, they are supplying the muscles of head neck region from the cranial nerves. Like trigeminal nerve is there, mandibular nerve is there. So this cranial nerve nuclei which is supplying the muscle is again same alpha motor neuron only. Physiologically both are same. So this is the gamma motor neuron which is the brainstem. Again it is supplying the muscle spindle. Physiologically both are same. Now these are the tracts which are arising from the cortex. Some are ending on brainstem, some are ending on the spinal cord. So as they are ending directly on the motor neuron which is supplying the muscle, these are called as direct pathways. And this motor neuron which are directly supplying the muscles, they are called as lower motor neuron. Mind you, this is a very, very important concept, lower motor neuron. So this alpha motor neuron as well as cranial nerve nuclei, both of these are called as lower motor neuron because they are supplying directly the skeletal muscle. Their stimulation will lead to direct contraction of skeletal muscle. Remaining all neurons which are controlling them, this coming from the cortex and this coming from cortex here, these are called as upper motor neurons. So this is a very key concept. I will explain again in detail regarding them. So these two are called as a direct track as they are directly controlling lower motor neuron. Now this other track which are starting from the cortex and taking their station in the brainstem. There are so many nuclei in the brainstem are there. Some are appearing red in color. Some are in connection with vestibular apparatus. Some are like a meshwork, reticulum. So based on them, these are called as red nuclear, vestibular nuclear, reticular formation. So this fibers which are ending in them and again starting from this other, these are called as indirect descending tracts. So these are called indirect pathways. So this is the one classification of descending tracts. One is a direct, other is a indirect. Direct means those are ending directly on lower motor neuron. Indirect means they are taking a station in between and they are ending on the lower motor neuron after this. So motor system can be divided into lower and upper motor neuron. So lower motor neurons refer to the spinal and cranial motor neurons that directly innervate skeletal muscle. Means their stimulation will lead to muscle contraction, and if these motor neurons are lost, muscle will become totally flaccid. because all whatever ending on them, they cannot influence the muscle now. So that's why lower motor neuron lesion leads to loss of muscle tone. Upper motor neuron is basically all are those in the cortex and brainstem that activates lower motor neuron. So this is a very important concept in the neurology, lower motor neuron and upper motor neuron. In this previous diagram we have seen this neuron is both are called as lower motor neuron, and this neuron which are controlling all this, they are called as upper motor neuron. So lower motor neuron lesion leads to flaccid paralysis, muscle atrophy, because these are the neurons which are mainly supplying the muscle. If they are cut off, nothing above influence is gone. So fasciculation, visible muscle twitches that appears as flickers under the skin, hypotonia, decrease in muscle tone, and hyporeflexia. So as lower motor neurons are the main which is supplying directly the muscle, if they are cut, if they are lost, or if nerve is cut off, ultimately the muscle will go under atrophy, because all higher centra, even if they are normal, they are not going to have any action on the muscle. So this is the effect of lower motor neuron lesion. Now to classify the tracts, there are different ways of classification. First, what we have learned now is direct and indirect. Direct means corticospinal and corticobulbar tracts. Indirect we will be learning. They are taking station between. Other classification is the tracts while going down, some of them makes pyramids in the medulla. So based on this, those who are going from pyramids, they are called as pyramidal tract, and those going outside the pyramid, they are called as extrapyramidal tract. One more classification based on location in the white matter of the spinal cord. Those located more laterally, they are called as lateral pathways, and those located medially, they are called as medial pathways. Now medial lateral, what is the significance? So this is the medial one, more in the central medial one, they are located somewhere here, and lateral means they are located this one. You see the difference? Those who are going medially, they will be controlling axial muscle skeleton. They will control the body muscle which are controlling the posture. So their supply is bilateral and they are controlling the body posture. And those who are laterally, they are basically supplying the distal muscles and they are unilateral only. So this is the white matter, anterior, posterior and lateral. So here in the medial location and lateral location. Now to start with the first pathway, that is a direct pathway arising from cortex, traveling along the midbrain, pons and medulla. While going in the medulla, this tract makes big pyramids and they are ending in the spinal cord. So as starting from cortex, ending in spinal cord, this tract is called as corticospinal tract. So see, it is starting from the cortex. Now here you can see at this lower end of the medulla, it is crossing to opposite side and ending here. So here 80% fibers cross to opposite side. So those starting from here, they are ending here. Means from right they are going to the left. So 80% fibers are crossing to opposite side. Now 20% fibers are uncrossed and they go on the same side. These are the 20% fibers. So while going in the medulla, they are making like pyramids. So that is why these tracts are called as they are going laterally in the column, lateral corticospinal tract. This 20% are going anteriorly, they are called as anterocorticospinal tract, and as they form the pyramid, they are called as the pyramidal tracts. So these are the pyramidal tracts, also called as the direct pathway. As from the cortex, they are ending in the spinal cord, and as they start from the cortex and end in spinal cord, they are called as corticospinal tract. Some are going laterally, so they are called as the lateral corticospinal tract. 20% is going anteriorly, which is called as anterocorticospinal tract. So I have shown here bilateral from this side to that one. So now their origin is from this premotor cortex. Just like in the sensory system, we have seen that there is presentation in the cortex. Similarly, in descending tract also there is a presentation in the cortex with respect to again skill of the part of the body. So same we are having, that is called as motor homunculus. You can see this, the biggest area, which is very small in the body. So this much area is given because fingers are having very skilled action, sensation as well as a motor activity also. So they are giving more presentation in the cortex. You can see vocal cord, our voice is our again identity. By simply calling on the phone, you recognize, yes, this chap is my close friend. So vocal cord is given more area again. So simple again on the same concept, part of the body which is having a skilled action is given more area. So that is a disproportionate human presentation called as motor homunculus, just like sensory homunculus. Now corticospinal tract origin, 30% fibers arises from primary motor cortex, 30% fiber from premotor and supplementary motor area, 40% fiber arise from somatosensory area. Majority of the pyramidal fibers then cross in the lower medulla to opposite side and descend in the lateral corticospinal column. A few fibers do not cross to the opposite side in the medulla but pass ipsilaterally down the cord in the ventral corticospinal tract. Ventral anterior both are same. So here diagram from your textbook of review physiology, that is Genong. Here I have shown. So these are the origin. You can see 80% is crossing to opposite side, 20% going on same side, but here you can see this 20% fibers are having bilateral presentation. They supply both sides. Now these are controlling the body's proximal muscles which are controlling body's posture. So these are supplying the distal muscles. So lateral corticospinal tract, which are 80%, they are supplying the distal muscle. Many are finger and hands. And these are supplying the proximal muscles, that is the muscles which control the body posture. So here from your textbook diagram is given. As it is complicated, I have tried to simplify it in the initial diagrams. Now main function is basically to control fine voluntary motor activity. So this corticospinal tract controls voluntary activity. And there again division is there. That's why if you get trauma to here on right side, you get majority of loss on opposite side. So if a person is having left part of the body is affected, left upper limb and left lower limbs are not moving, a problem is there, that means his right side of cortex is having some trouble. Maybe hemorrhage, maybe ischemia, maybe tumor. So if you take a CT scan, you will find that there is a problem on the right side. So because of the crossing to opposite side. So the ventral corticospinal tract and medial descending brainstem pathways are concerned with adjustment of proximal muscles and posture, because they are supplying bilaterally and they are supplying proximal muscles. And lateral corticospinal are concerned with distal limb muscles with skilled voluntary motor activity. That's why if there is a damage to the cortex, the person is unable to write. Now one more tracts which are again direct. This is the spinal cord. This is the brainstem, cranial nerve nuclei. So this fiber which are supplying this cranial nerve nuclei, they are called as corticobulbar fiber, because they are ending in the brainstem, which is called as a bulb. This we have labeled corticospinal because starting from the cortex, ending in the spinal cord. Now this is starting in the cortex, ending in the bulb. So it is called as a corticobulbar fiber. These fibers are controlling the cranial nerve nuclei, which is supplying the head neck region. So they are controlling the muscles of head neck region. Corticospinal tract is controlling muscles of the upper limb, lower limb. Lateral corticospinal tract, medial or ventral is controlling the posture muscles. And corticobulbar tracts are basically, these are controlling Fibers from motor cortex to motor neurons in trigeminal, facial and hypoglossal nuclei. These are supplying the head neck region. Corticobulbar neurons ends either directly on the cranial nuclei or on their antecedent interneurons within the brainstem. So these are corticobulbar tracts are controlling basically head neck muscle region cranial nerves. Now to read upper motor neuron lesions. We will be discussing them in the subsequent lecture. So here we are finishing first one descending tract, which is a direct, called as corticospinal tract, which is forming pyramids in the medulla, called as pyramidal tract. In the next lecture we will see indirect pathways or extrapyramidal tracts. Till then, thank you.